Throughout history, there have been myriads of conspiracies and conspiracy theories. In recent times, a wide range of conspiracy theories have been invented to explain everything from the true secret origins of the United States, the assassination of JFK, to the attacks on the Pentagon and World Trade Center. There also seems to be no shortage of Christians willing to buy into the various conspiracies and spend their time, energy, and money to be in the know about what's really going on behind the scenes. But are there secret societies that are really running the world? And if so, which secret society is it? The Skull and Bones, the Bohemian Club, the Masons, or the Illuminati? Are the world leaders of our time the puppets of an elite group of occultists that bend history to their will? To hear the conspiracy theorists answer these questions, we would be told that the world is indeed controlled by elite groups of secret societies. These elite groups run the world at the behest of Satan in the attempt to establish a Luciferian New World Order. The apparent distinctions between liberal and conservative, Democrat and Republican, are merely the illusions cast by an occultic elite which plays both sides against the middle. These societies, such as the Masons and the Illuminati, pose as benign humanitarian groups, while secretly their leaders plot world domination through the placement of their members in the highest offices in the world. Through these offices, the secret society influences everything from the economy, legislation, public elections, the news media, the outcome of wars, and the rise and fall of world powers. According to conspiracy theorists, all of the wars for the last 100 years have been orchestrated to provide an excuse for larger government control of the people. Bush apparently is the puppet of oil companies, who are run by high-ranking members of various secret societies. In fact, this conspiracy goes so far as to say that it was not Muslim terrorists who flew planes into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. Apparently, the passengers on these planes were loaded onto a separate plane that was eventually shot down by an F-16 and crashed in Pennsylvania. The planes that hit the World Trade Center were government cargo planes carrying rockets on their underbellies, which were fired into the buildings just before impact. The Pentagon was not hit by a plane, but was instead struck by a cruise missile fired by the United States government. Bottom line, the conspiracy theorists would have you believe that your own government murdered thousands of people and then attacked itself, all to get us into Afghanistan and Iraq so that it could kill more people and gain control of the world's oil. All of this was accomplished by a secret elite few who wield influence over the most powerful government the world has ever known. These elite meet in secret at places like the Bohemian Grove, where everyone from presidents, world financial leaders, media moguls, and high-ranking foreign dignitaries meet to indulge their lust for power and homosexual sex, all the while planning their next moves for accomplishing total domination over every soul on planet Earth. In the conspiracy worldview, America was founded by secret societies to establish the new Atlantis that would usher in a golden age of peace and prosperity. Since its founding, America has been ruled by Luciferians who hid their occultic symbols in our currency and in the architecture of our nation's capital. How did Jesus, the prophets and apostles, deal with the conspiracies of their day? Does the Bible have anything to say about conspiracies? With this in mind, let us ask, what is a conspiracy?
Well, in one sense, a conspiracy is a delusional, make-up, believe world of people who are paranoid and schizophrenic, and they are really concerned that somebody's after them somewhere. And they look around them to fixate on some particular group or movement. It doesn't matter if it's a group in the past that no longer exists, like the Knights Templar. They're no longer around, but it doesn't matter. There are people who fixate on that. Or the Druids, they're no longer among the living either. Or they pick some present group. A conspiracy theory is the attempt to explain what is going on in the world today as being the result of a small group of individuals actually being in control of the world.
The God who is there, and who has revealed himself through the Bible, is the sovereign ruler over the entire universe. Through his providential direction, history follows the course that God ordained before the foundation of the heavens and the earth. God's will is so absolutely in control over his creation that not even a sparrow falls to the ground apart from his notice.
So number one, it's talking about the sovereignty of man and not the sovereignty of God. It doesn't really believe in providence, that history is being run according to the decrees of God, and that history is his story, but they look back at history as either being, well, that's the history of what the Illuminati wanted. They forget the wise words of King Solomon, who in the book of Proverbs says, a man may plan his way, but God orders his steps. Man proposes, but God disposes. So a conspiracy theory is a denial of the sovereignty of God, of providence, of the eternal decrees of God, and of the fact that He is ruling the world, and the world is moving according to a timetable predetermined by God, or Acts 1:7. The times and seasons concerning the future have been fixed. So if there is really any conspiracy theory, it is the conspiracy theory of the sovereignty of God. He is in control of what nations rise and fall. And let's put it down to very clear terms. In 1 Samuel, in Hannah's prayer, she said, "O Lord, you are the God of knowledges. You make rich and you make poor. You bring up and you bring down. You make kings rise and kings fall. Nations and civilization come and go, but you are the one who is in control of all things." As a Christian, I look to the Bible in terms of what to believe and how to live. Now, if you're not a Christian, I really have very little to say to you, because you probably are going to be lost in the world of conspiracies. And if you fall into these cults that hang around this, you're going to be brainwashed because you don't have any authority in your life. You have none of God's wisdom. But we who are Christians look to the Bible.
From Genesis to Revelation, God has progressively revealed Himself and His plan to save sinners through His Son Jesus Christ. History is the product of God's plan to glorify Himself, and not the result of secret societies manipulating mankind for its own ends. When we turn to the historical books of Scripture, we see the plain truth that conspiracies have been in existence since the fall of mankind into sin.
In the historical sections of the Bible, we find a record of many, many conspiracies. There were conspiracies between brothers, such as when Cain killed Abel. There was a conspiracy in the Garden of Eden when the devil seduced Adam and Eve. There was a conspiracy with Nimrod. There's a conspiracy of the Tower of Babel when they said, hey, let's try to make a tower that we could worship astrologically the stars on. And then the Tower of Babel conspiracy was destroyed by God. There was the Babylonian conspiracy, the Assyrian conspiracy. There was the Egyptian conspiracy. And then there were conspiracies not among the nations of the world, the Roman conspiracy, but there were conspiracies within Israel, when one king was attacking another king, when there were coups and revolutions, when you had Absalom having a conspiracy against his father David. Matter of fact, as you read the historical sections of both the Old Testament and the New Testament, we find the record of many, many conspiracies being hatched, being run, and then meeting their final doom.
When one turns to the moral, practical, and ethical sections of the Bible, there is no command that makes investigating and propagating conspiracies obligatory.
Nowhere by way of example, command, or precept did the patriarchs, the prophets, the apostles, or Jesus Himself waste 1 minute on studying conspiracies. When the heathen rage and the kings and the rulers of this world come together in conspiracies and plots, He that sits in the heavens laughs, and the Lord ridicules them and has them in derision. Why? Conspiracies will come and go, as Jesus said in Matthew, but we are not to fear, because history is moving according to a timetable of God's eternal sovereign decrees.